Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? My name is Michael, and I might as well introduce myself here. Be prepared for a large bulbous head. I warned you. There it is. It's very good to see you. Thank you for coming to the webinar here today. I am one of two founders here from way back in the day, 15 years ago when we started this. Before we had one customer, it was me and my best friend, Ron. And we had this crazy belief that most of the things people were using and selling were garbage, that trading was not what we were told it was. And there was something very different about how we thought a move would occur and what actually happened. And the example I used earlier with a gentleman named Jeff was we were playing Monopoly with chutes and ladders rules. We were playing Monopoly with chutes and ladders rules. And so I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we've been up to for the last 15 years over the next 45 minutes or so, where we've had this really interesting experiment, right? Those of you who have been following along with us have been actively taking a part in an experiment where we give out the times for the markets in advance. And I'll log in and get those times for us while I'm waiting. Hey, Lars, how are you, sir? And 2 days later, we come back and see if the software did what we've been saying it will do. And so let me load that up so you can see what I mean. Basically, by giving you the times in advance, we don't have to prove to you that I'm a super guru and you need to listen to me. We can basically just look at these times and see, what was the market projected to do on Wednesday? What was the market projected to do on Thursday? So kind of a neat way to think about markets as based on time and timing, right? This idea that there's some way to know in what we're told is a chaotic, cacophonous, random rodeo. There's some way to know with some level of certainty what is coming next, potentially. And so I want to go over a few examples of that with you. This is a long-running chart that we've been publishing now since early in the summer. And if you're a customer at home, inevitably you're going to ask me, what are the settings for this? So if you're a present user of the Warp software, you know that on the daily E-mini S&P chart, we've been using an origination mode of trading days with a source of 1230. And that's essentially looking at the last 3 weeks of movements and a swing strength of 5. And since the summer, we've been basically telling you weeks into the future when the next moves were coming. So for example, we knew that there was a signal on January 29th. Oh, there it is. Thank you. And there's another signal coming on February 9th. So Jeff, based on what we saw earlier, imagine this was a 1-minute NQ signal like the one you saw. But now it's on a daily chart. And so we've known that the market would be higher from January 29th and probably slow down and start to consolidate somewhere around February 9th. And if you go back historically and look at the selling pressure times, even in this big uptrend, Lars, do you notice how the market tends to slow down and sometimes even go down when we get near the selling times? Charlie, does that make sense? Hey, Martin. When we get near selling pressure times in an uptrend, a really cool thing starts to happen. Wanted to talk a little bit about that. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, there we go. When we're in an accumulation phase, there are points in the cycle, Ken, where the market slows down and goes into a reaccumulation phase. This is where people are taking profit, new buyers are coming on board. And so if you look at that example in relation to what happens at these selling times in this historic bull run, right? Let me bring that chart back up. It lends context to what's been happening at these times. Let me show you. So here we see basically a markup into a reaccumulation phase. And those of you that are trading options, you can see that there's some tremendous opportunities here for calls and the like, where essentially we kind of know in advance where the next run up will be. Now, let me just state, because sometimes it bears repeating, what makes us different is that since May, June of this last year, I've been showing this chart. And so all of the blue times and all of the white times were public knowledge in advance. Most companies will try to sell you a tool based on after the fact enlightenment. They'll try to convince you which trades they wouldn't have taken. A lot of their software will actually remove signals that didn't work. They don't mention that some signals appeared long after the fact. I want to state, because somebody always asks for a trial, right? Can I have a trial? Can I have a trial? I saw the webinar. Can I have a trial? You've sort of seen these signals and known about them for months. I've told you what the dates were in the future for months into the future, meaning if I stretch this out to the right, I'm looking at March right now, right? The same way all these other signals were dates we knew in the future. I'm looking at April. And so we can look at these signals and have a reasonable understanding of when moves are likely to happen in the future. But that reasonable understanding, that trust, comes from the fact that you've been following along with me now since back here. You've been following along with me since April. All of these signals on April 25th and May 8th and May 28th and June 7th, June 19th and August 7th, and all of these wonderful dates you've been following along with. And so it's really cool to be able to come together and see what the tool affords in terms of looking into a world that most people didn't know existed. A world where signals are predictive. Now, one of our customers was here. He says he trades iron condors on SPX. Charlie, if you're listening to this, your guy is going to be asking you about SPX. I have an SPY data feed. I couldn't get SPX, unfortunately. And in the same way that our E-mini S&P signals on the daily chart are predictive, can everyone here see the signals coming up for SPY? Now, if you're following along at home, these settings are a little different. Actually, they're the same, 714.00 with a swing strength of 8, my default values. But if you're Don, if you're listening, I loaded up an SPY chart on a daily, and these are probably week-long trades, but I want you to see the dates that we're expecting the bull moves and what happens, the dates that we're expecting the bear moves and what's happening. And now if you're holding a trade for about a day, I loaded a 60-minute chart. So on this chart, I think I changed the setting. Yep. Instead of calendar days, I have it set to trading days. This tip came to me from a customer named Dorian, who uses our system on the NASDAQ 1-minute chart. So Ken, in your instance, if you were trading SPX on a 1-hour chart, what you're seeing here is essentially the same thing that we were seeing on the daily chart. So right now, for example, the last signal on our list is this 2 p.m. signal into 7 a.m. tomorrow. And that shows essentially the potential for topping right here into the signal tomorrow. Then the next bull run tomorrow is 7 a.m. followed by 2 o'clock and then 2 a.m. after that. I have this set to 24/7 signals, by the way. So this could bear tremendous fruit. For example, if you were looking for calls, you could be looking for those at all of these white times, for example, and for puts on the other side, obviously, with the blue stuff. And in the majority of the cases, I think it looks like those are moving in the money fairly quickly. Hey, Carrie. So the software is based on this premise that markets are predictive. One of the earliest practitioners of time cycle analysis was a guy named Gann. William Delbert Gann had some pretty amazing things to say, but he was fairly adamant about the one thing. My dad would say, you're a one-note record or a one-note song. You say the same thing over and over again. And Gann was very much a one-note guy. His favorite word was time. If he ever had a tattoo, I don't think he would. He came from a fairly conservative Christian family in Lufkin, Texas, forgive me. Came to New York, aided by his brother's stake, and made a bunch of money in front of a lot of people. And they said, how'd you do it? And he said, time. I use time. Well, how do you use time? I study the past records, and if you do that, you'll be able to prove for yourself that history repeats and that by knowing the past, you can tell the future. So one of the ways that we can prove that is by becoming fortune tellers ourselves. Let me show you what I mean by that. So can everyone see my charts okay? Blue and white dots on a black background. You're not watching my other big giant monitor. Just want to confirm. Sometimes I don't ask and I go through. Okay, cool. I go through a whole webinar without asking people. So yesterday for Wednesday, 12:09, 12:30, 12:09, 12:30. So for yesterday's market, Jeff, the program on the E-mini S&P 3-minute chart, this is one most people ask me about, gave us this output. Now this output was available to us. This is really important, especially those of you who are thinking, I need a trial, I need a trial, I need a trial. Here's the trial. This output was available on Tuesday. You okay there? It was available on Tuesday. The markets hadn't opened on Wednesday. There was no Wednesday. Wednesday did not exist. Wednesday was a block, square on a calendar we haven't gotten into yet. But this piece of information, wherever it is, up, down, this piece of information existed telling us tomorrow, watch these times. This is something, Jeff, we talked about called data mining, right? We're looking at historically recurring patterns recently. Why does the market keep going up at 8 o'clock? Seems like lately that's their favorite thing to do, but our brains don't think that way. There's something called the recency effect. They studied it, and as a human being, congratulations, you literally forget everything that happened, and you're focused on what's in front of you right now. So you don't remember that the market went up consistently at 709 and 742 and 1006 and 1109, and that's an edge the banks exploit. So all of these times are moments that the software is warning us on Tuesday. Imagine the cojones of these people who publish these forecasts. Big, like coconuts. Possibility of the market rising. If you're an options trader, calls. All of these times, just like our daily chart, are times where we're expecting the market to slow down and stop or potentially go down. Now, truth be told, every webinar, I'm scared to death. For 15 years, I've been doing this. 15, that's 1, 2, 3 of these. And I wake up in Venus and I think, this is the week it's not going to work anymore. That's 50 webinars a year times 15. Do the math. It's a lot. And I keep thinking, maybe this is the webinar where they don't work anymore. And I walk up the stairs and my wife says, good luck. She gives me a little kiss. And I want you to see something really cool. And if you see it and accept it, your life gets a lot easier, I think, when it comes to trading. Ready? Let me scooch this down. Let me just say the numbers. 933, 1006, 1048. 933, 1006, 1048. All of the times, Jeff, that I was just mentioning, Ken, that I was just mentioning are on my chart. But at the time, there were no bars. Let me show you what I mean. Here's today, off to the right. Here are the times for tomorrow. Jeff, you see how there's no tomorrow yet? Because it's today. We're still inside of today. So yesterday, there was no yesterday. All we had were the times. And so, Jeff, just like today, look at what happens when we get to the white signals. Remember, we've had this information since Tuesday, before there was a Wednesday. And look at what happens at the blue dots. I'm not even going to go and do what I normally do. I'm not going to draw the arrows all over the place and insult your intelligence and say, look at it, I dare you, right? You can see that something very weird was up. How could we know a day in advance when Goldman Sachs would push that button, electronically or otherwise? How could we know when Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan was going to push the market up? Now, these are signals. These are signals, right? There's a difference between a signal and a setup. And disclaimer here, no two of you trade the same way. You met Charlie last week. Awesome opportunity to see how does somebody else use these signals. I'm going to try to find other people who are using them different ways and expose you to their methods, but nobody uses the signals the same way. We tried once to make all of you do it the same way. Mass casualties, brain melts, wasn't good. What I want to show you is a very basic setup that I've taught now for quite a number of years that I think works really well because it's very simple, it's very basic and fairly intuitive. Also, most of the people who are making money with the software are trading this way. And the setup is based on, let me show it to you here, a trend trading strategy. In essence, when our moving average is rising, we're paying closer attention to the historic buy signal times. So if the house is on fire, we're waiting for the moment where a helicopter dumps a bucket load of gasoline from 100 feet above. What time are they dumping that gas on the house, Bert? At 9:36. All right, I'll bring my a long stick and a wiener over. So when that happens, we wait for the close of the candle. Basic system. If you don't have a system, this is a great one to start with, but it's based on the times that we know are coming. Close of the candle, we enter. We exit by the next time. That is opposite. Enter at the close of the candle, exit by the next opposite time. See, with options, you're guessing, will the market be higher or lower in the future? It's pure time. And most of you are using pure price to trade pure time options. This is the only signal that I've come across that tells you what time and what direction. It's going to be higher 4 minutes, 4 hours, 4 days from now. No one else can do that because it's hard. 12,000 lines of code, by the way, in this program. The stop is 1.5 average true range values away. Let me write that number down. 1.5 ATR values. As the market expands and the candles get bigger, your stop is bigger. When the market slows down and the candles are smaller, your stops are smaller. Signal with trend. Any questions? If the signal, Jeff, starts out underneath the moving average and it crosses over the moving average, if it closes above from a buy signal, or let's say it was a sell and it closes below, we call it a crossover. Very avant-garde name. We enter at the close of the candle. Our stop is 2 ticks below that candle. Our stop would be 2 ticks above this candle, and we hold it until the next opposite time. We're trading these windows of time that historically, lately, for whatever reason, have been opening and closing with regular irregularity. So let's come over here and look at our ES chart, right? It's all theory till it's real. That's 742. The close of the candle is 49.79. My stop is 1.5 ATR values away from the low of that candle. Now, point of fact, point of order. If you want to make that number bigger or smaller, you can. Because we're engineers, we love to have knobs and dials and buttons all over the place. And so most everything in here can be changed, but the default values are pretty stout. So if you want to make it smaller, make it 1 instead of 1.5, great. Now, when do we exit this trade if we enter it? By 8:33. $11.25 theoretical, right? The next signal with trend at that point is 9 a.m. And at 8:33, I know that, Ken. At 8:33, Jeff, I know that. It's there like a bus schedule. When did the planes for Newark leave today out of Charlotte? Well, there's one at 8 o'clock, there's one at 11 o'clock, there's one at 1:30 and one at 4:30. And those numbers are never real, especially if it's raining. But I know the times in advance. So I'm sitting here. What do I do from 8:30 to 9 o'clock? Make a sandwich, do some yoga. I have a kettlebell in the office that I'll pick up and do some shoulder presses with, or I'll squat down and do some deadlifts with it. Get away from the computer. Do you know one of the biggest things that people reportedly do consistently wrong when they start trading? They overtrade. There's this expression, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you're a trader, in your mind, everything looks like a setup. And it's very hard to turn the volume down on that demon in your brain that's going, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in now, get in again, get in. That wasn't the move. This is the move. This is really the move. That wasn't the move. Why did you listen to me? This is really the move. You go back and there's 500 trades on the screen. If you own this software, at the very least, you're not going to place 500 trades. You will take fewer trades, higher quality trades. You'll have something to say to that demon who's going, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in. Shh. It's not 9 o'clock yet. Okay. Let's continue. At 9 o'clock, the computer is going, hey, knucklehead. For whatever reason, the ES goes up around this time most of the time. We get in. When do we get out? By the next time, 9:33. 11 plus 7 is 18. Here's a fun fact. Now we get to 10:06. The market's already put in a low here and a low here. What's your risk on this trade, Jeff? Small. It's very small. That's what she said. So at this stage, you enter at the close of the candle. When do we get out? If we enter at 10:06, when do we get out? Because there's another demon in your head, isn't there? There's two of them. One of them tells you to have a big stop. Movie stop, movie stop, movie stop. Come on, movie stop, movie stop. Don't you want to movie stop? There you go. Nice move. What's the other demon say? Get out now. Get out. Get out now. Get out. Cash it out now. Get out. Get out. And then you can turn to that one on the right shoulder and go, not until 10:48. No. 10:48. Okay. And it goes up, 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 and it goes up. 10:48. Ding! That's a $21 move. That's $1,000 plus 350 plus 550. Now, where did we get these times from? Where did these signals come from? Does anybody remember? Oh, that's right. We've had them since Tuesday. I'm not showing you anything that has anything to do with my intellect. There's no component of this associated in any way to my guru abilities. These were outputs from a program that thousands of people around the world own. And you could see for yourself in advance before we got here what the result was after the fact. If you entered at 11:09 right here, let's assume a perfect entry, and you exited by 11:18, womp womp, you lost 6 ticks. If you entered at 11:45, you exited by 12:09. So those are the signals from, let's do from 7 o'clock on, 7 to 12. So here to here, And then there was a stop out here. Yeah, sure, we can take a look at that. So let's call this 12, 19, let's do 20, 44 minus 2, let's call it 40 points, $40 on day one. Is that okay? That's $2,000 per contract, day one. Now today, a little bit different. But let's talk about it. Yasser, same rule set, right? 7:48, the close of the candle is a signal with trend. When do I get out by? It goes down to 5,005 from 5,009, about 4 points. I leave the table with 6 ticks. Yasser, the candle closes over the moving average. Yasser, I will get it right because that's what your mother named you and it's important. You enter at the close of the candle on the crossover trade, which crosses over the moving average. And when do I exit by? 9:09. You got a tick. Aw, that's so cute. Little baby tick. Now, Yasser, here at 9:45, if you entered, it goes up, 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 up straight away, right? It goes $4 up, but that's not the end of the story, is it? Doesn't finish there. But some of you are only trading with your Apex accounts and your take profit accounts to a $200 level per day. You have 20 accounts, you get to $200 or $300 per day, and you're done because 20 times 200 is 4,000. All right, Charlie talked a lot about that last week. Okay, so now here we exit by 10:27, right, Yasser? So no gain on that one. At 10:27 in this garbage market, which didn't clear up until 2 o'clock today, Yasser, no trade, no trade, no trade, crossover right here. So if you entered at the close of the 10:39 crossover candle, which closes below the moving average, how low did it get? Almost a retest of the bottom, 3 3/4 points, but that's not the end of the story, is it? No. It goes back all the way up and hits the stop. So it's minus $3. Okay. Last trade of the day at 11:09. The candle is above the moving average. It is valid right here, and it hits the stop. Minus 5. There were other trades during the day that worked. It cleared up. This is probably the worst price action in the universe. If we use the basic laws, Bala, right? Bala started discussing the slopes of the lines and things like that. The purpose of this webinar is to say, if we use the most basic, signals possible, realizing every one of you will use discretion and say, the slope was flat, it was in a range, if you sold here or bought here, right? Bala, those are all things that I can't deploy in a credible webinar. My purpose, right? I have a very discrete directive. Show them the times in advance Give them the rules for the system we'll use in advance, and then come back 2 days later to see if we started out with X number of dollars, 2 days later, was there X plus something dollars? Yasher, is that an accurate assessment of success? Could I have taken your system and made more money than I lost using times which were predictive since Tuesday? So if I complicate those rules, if I add discretionary elements to it, it immediately ties you to my guru-ness. And that's a horrible thing. I have sat at the feet of men who promised they would reveal their secrets to me. And the ultimate revenge is to expose them and to know orders of magnitude more than them, to build a following of traders who don't need a guru. That's the ultimate revenge. Never trust a person, trust a process. So if we come back and look on the worst day, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. You essentially have plus 1.5 minus, let's call it 9. So you have a 9-point loss. And then the day before, in the same stretch of time, just until lunchtime, $40 minus 9 is, let's call it an even 30. And so over the 3 days now, or the 2 days rather, the worst day plus the best day was $30, which is equivalent to $1,500 per contract. In 10 hours, which is about $150 an hour of your time. That's pretty good, right? And now here's a fun fact. These signals have been doing this. Here's Tuesday, right? We could have done this all on Tuesday too. And we could have done this back on Monday. The signals were working on Monday too. So Jeff, could we have been short selling the poop out of this market on Monday? Yeah. Yasher, great question. So when you're using the software, and I have to ask Rachel how to do this because I forgot. I can show you the poor man's way. Yasher, watch me. I'm going to take the chart. I'm going to squish it up as much as I can. Can you see the dates? 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and then the 14th is over here somewhere, right? So these signals will never update, they'll never change, they'll never disappear or reappear. They are what they are. There's a method where I can actually see all of them a week in advance. I have to ask Rachel to show me how to do it. There's a way in the histogram to do like a 7-day advance. If I remember, shift signals forward, back, is that it? There's a method where I can actually see the times in advance. I don't know how to do it. It's been so long since someone wanted to see that far. But if you come back here, right? There's tomorrow, there's Friday, Monday. They're all there. So on the big time frames, right, we're seeing the daily, like we were looking at, and on the small time frames, we're seeing the intraday signals. Here's the NASDAQ signals on the 1-minute chart today. And Jeff, it was pretty cool to see it. These were the signals I was following with a cool guy I met today. We watched together, Earl, when this signal came, and we got out up here, which was funny to me. I thought that was a cool trade. Jeff, how many points was that? Basically somewhere around here, about $40 or $800. Yeah, so Yasher, you can see farther in the future than you need to. It was against the trend. Yeah. So there are more setups that I teach. And in my pro room, my advanced room where I work with customers, there's a couple variations. When there's a counter trend trade, one of the things we can do is use a very low risk, and we can put a stop right underneath the low or the high. Yeah, so I personally don't use the moving average anymore. You want to see a fun technique? There's a neat feature in there in the most updated version of the software. The 120 is kind of lagging, isn't it, Yasher? It feels like we're a weight loss center with Ben and Jerry's in the freezer. Like we haven't fully committed. So inside of the tool is this really cool feature. Jeff, I didn't get to show you this because you were talking too much before. We can turn off the EMA. It's gone. Now, Yasher, check this out. There's something called the trend identifier. And if we activate it, check it out. What is this telling us? It's telling us this. And it works, I think it works pretty cool. So if we were looking at the NQ today, Jeff, here's what it would have told us. And the theory, I think, is pretty solid. Thomas, right here at 919, do you see that signal? It's warning us of a short. Market should go down. But Yasher, do you notice how it comes up and it hits the stop line of the 919 signal? Martin, can you see that? Goes right up, and if we were short, it would have hit the stop. Now, what that tells me is that the people who normally sell, they didn't show up. Do you guys know that when a tsunami comes at first, Ken, what happens to the water when there's a tsunami in like a Japanese harbor? Have you ever seen this? It recedes, it pulls back. It's like, uh-oh. And so if you can hold that thought in your mind, at 919, it's telling us, Yasher, nobody's selling. And so it will put a green vertical line with an arrow on it. And these signals can almost be traded on their own. And it's saying, don't take any shorts. Take longs for a while. So now there's no moving average involved. Ken, oh, there's no lag. We cut the cord. There's no lag. We're using pure time to tell us which signals to trade. So the water recedes at 9:09 and it goes, you take the first long signal that comes along. Okay. And so now at 9:46, I can enter the NASDAQ and exit at 9:53. I can take the long at 9:57. It goes up and then down and then up and puts in a new high. That's a break-even trade for me, guys. If you're up $400 on the NASDAQ and you haven't locked in a tick, you should not be trading the NASDAQ. Now, at 10:31, there's a weird signal. Jeff, remember earlier we talked about those inverted patterns? The backwards patterns? Look how the program keeps doing more and more things as I inject my superior big brain knowledge into the code of this program. in your histogram guidebook, which is in your handout section, we notice that some of the sell signals go up and some of the buy signals go down. And we created a document. And it says, hey, if you ever get to a sell time like 10:31 and it looks like this, be prepared. And look at the qualifications that the program kicked in real time. Prior swing low, prior swing low. Here's the sell time, here's the sell time. If the candle to the left of the sell time, or the right of the sell time are new structural lows, there is a strong likelihood that that signal will invert or go backwards. Positive is negative, negative is positive, cats marrying dogs. It's a mess, but it happens. It's a part of nature. Well, 10:31, if it's going to react like this, that's a place to go long in the NASDAQ. That green line is telling me to go long. Everything is saying long, but it's a blue dot. It's got white arrows under it because it's probably going to do this. Okay, well, if I enter long on the NQ, on the close of that candle, you'll see there's a hollow dot right here saying, hey, if you're going to trade this like a white dot, your stop has to be here. If you're going to trade it like a blue dot, your stop has to be here. Equal but opposite. And so now, Jeff, I'm in and I'm out by 10:41. Okay, you see how that works? Now, we're in at 10:41, we're out at 10:53. There's another, check it out, there's another blue line violated. The water recedes hard and far at 10:31. There's no sellers here. What happened to the sellers? Sellers didn't show up. Oh, that means the buyers are coming. Yeah. So at 10:41, we enter and we exit. The very next signal is at 11:02. It's a buy dot. Predictive trend is up. And now we get here and it goes up $3. Now, advanced lesson if you're an existing customer. If you get into a signal as the morning goes on and you barely make any money on a buy dot, what does that tell us about the buyers, Yasher? We finish where we started. What happened to the buyers, Mary? They didn't show up. Might be time to change directions, right? Well, without discretion, the program finds that for us because at the very next signal at 11:25, it hits its own stop line. We have a suspicion here, but then the program goes, and now we're not allowed to take a long anymore. Turns red. No moving averages, by the way. If we were trading with a moving average, Yasher, where would that thing be? It'd be up here somewhere, right? This is telling us, hey, from this point on, look for shorts. And the only short left just before lunch is at 11:57. And if we trade that from here to here, it's $5. It went a total of $21 in your direction first. So there's even a filter to get rid of your moving average. You can see exhaustion in real time, show the trend change. So if you were here last week with Charlie, even more good news. Go ahead and download this from your software update area on the website when you log in. Any questions about that? Any questions about that? This works in other markets. We're not just limited to futures. We can look at forex. We can look at crypto. We can look at stocks. The software will work with whatever you have a data feed for. So if you're watching notes or bonds, wheat or corn, Apple or AMD, the same principles apply. They are, Yasher, there's dimension to this. There's depth to it, right? There's life after the signal. It's not just an up arrow, down arrow thing anymore. And so you're absolutely correct. An investment in this tool is like a Swiss Army knife instead of a sharp spoon. There's a lot of stuff that we can do with it. Let me show you some things that I've been watching. We had a call in Apple from the 5th. These are the signals we've been watching in Apple. We're basically long until Wednesday, the 28th. And then bonds, we're actually seeing a pattern 4 at 4 o'clock today. Yasher, I'll answer your question here in a minute. Jeff, Ken, can you see the pattern 4 at the bottom of bonds right here? There's 2 of them. So very good chance that this is the low going into the overnight session into 8 o'clock tomorrow. Let's check the connection, Coinbase for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, you can see where my arrow was. These cycles are actually inverted now. There's a class that I'll be giving in April of this year. If you're a customer, you're welcome to attend. Emails coming out this weekend. We predicted the price of Bitcoin would go up at the signal on February 6th until Sunday, February 18th. Tesla, we told everyone that the low was coming in on the 25th of January and that the next buy would be on February 6th. That lasts, however, until the close of today, where I think tomorrow we're going to start to see this thing fall again. Our biggest success story so far has been NVIDIA. And if you were in my room today, you heard me talk about why I think NVIDIA is about to drop now until the 13th of February. SPY is higher now until, geez Louise, SPY is higher until February 15th. That's the next day. We've broken through the high of the pattern 5 and we're climbing again on SPY. And then last but not least, I wanted you to see the Euro, no, Netflix. There she is. We've been using these signals in Netflix, and they are the gift that keeps on giving. If you're an options trader and you're not using these signals, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how to help you. This also works intraday too. If you're trading stocks like Tesla and you need a smaller time frame to work with, 100% of the time it'll work. And then of course, euro dollar daily. And if we wanted to, I don't know if some of you knew you could do this. Apple, Home Depot was another great instrument or market for this. Again, default settings, 714, swing strength 8. We've been seeing some really great signals from Home Depot. The next signal would be a buy above this line right here, 370 area. We'll flip that around right there. And then after that, it's February 28th. Bum, 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 bum. Sorry, I get excited. Today's signals on the 3-minute crude, oil. If you traded oil futures today, you had a crossover trade at 5:21 Eastern, out at 6:42. You had a signal with trend at 9:12, out at 10:27. You had a signal with trend at 11 o'clock, out at 12:15. You had a signal with trend at 2:24, and if you held it after hours, you're up 30, 90, 150, 190. That's 5,654 million pesos. Yes, so Yasher, we can look at a 1-minute ES chart, and this is what I was going to show you. The highest we've been able to push it is a weekly chart. Let's break the computer. Ready? A lot of days. Oh, weekly chart. Boom. All right, if we want to be the same settings as our daily chart, remember we changed them earlier to be consistent. 1, 2, 3, 5. That's the daily chart on the E-mini S&P, but weekly. And so, Ken, do you see how we see the signals coming up on the weekly, March 1st, March 15th? So, Yasher, we can do weekly signals out into March, or come all the way down to the 5-minute, 3-minute. We can put this on a 30-second chart. So your question is, shouldn't you be a billionaire by now after 15 years of these signals? And so my answer, which most people don't like, is, what do you care? That question is usually preceded by years of abuse from other companies and vendors. All right, let's drill right down to the issue. If I trade it or if I don't, if I'm an eccentric professor who loves the academia of it all, and I'm afraid to touch money, what do you care? I showed you a chart a second ago where I gave you the times in advance, and you knew these times in advance. And I gave you the setup in advance and said, here's the moving average, here's the stop size, here's when you get in and get out. And then 2 days later, this chart is what happened. What do you care? At what point am I involved in this process other than to tell you where the button to push is? Maybe I'm a bipolar schizophrenic. Maybe I have money issues. Maybe my mom beat me with a broomstick when I asked for $1 for ice cream. What do you care? It did this. This is how markets work. Will you be a billionaire with it? Some of our customers are pretty rich. You can read all about them. Let's hear what some of them had to say, because it's pretty fascinating. Anybody who could have written anything they wanted, including Lars, who gave us a 1-star review. Lars, did you know your 1-star review was still here? You can take it off if you want. I can't. I don't know if it's still here. You might have taken it down. There it is. This was Lars' review from 4 years ago. You're going to leave it there? Awesome. I love you too. So, Yasher, just to show you, somebody can put a 1-star review. Yes, he is, Ken. But then right above it, this is everybody here who's had a receipt. Everybody who owns the software, who can write whatever they want, writes whatever they want on here. And so those are the reasons why. These are people who are billionaires, maybe. I don't know. In conclusion, I went to a dark place in my head just now. I'm back. What is trading? What is it? Sometimes we fool ourselves. We tell ourselves things that aren't true to make ourselves feel better. Right? The human experience that we all share. If trading is a guess about the past, then you're doing it right when you use a lagging indicator. Because the lagging indicator is telling you what has already happened. This is what the volume is now. This is what the volume was 5 bars ago, 10 bars ago. This is what the order flow is now. There is nothing outside of this webinar telling you where will prices be a second from now, a minute from now, 20 minutes from now, 20 days from now. And for 15 years, if someone made predictions for 15 years that weren't good, I don't know how you get 5-star reviews. That sort of seems like the natural effect of accuracy, right? If you take a bunch of sugar and you put it in some water and you boil it, after a while it turns into a syrup, right? That's the expected result. If you post times for 15 years, 2 days in advance, and show up on a Thursday and people buy the stuff, if it works, you get 4- and 5-star reviews. And here we are. So if it's about the future, why are you doing it the other way? Everyone says the same thing. I saw your stuff, I saw your post, I saw your video, I saw your email, and it was really, really different. There's a great line in the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray and Annie McDowell. He wakes up. It's the day after Groundhog Day, and Annie McDowell turns to him, her beautiful brown hair tousled, looks at him and say, "What's wrong?" And he says, "Something's different." He sees her in the bed with him. He always wakes up alone. And she said, "Is that bad?" And he said, "No. Different is good. Different is real good." And some of you have a choice today. Do you want to do the same thing you've always done? Bounce from room to room, trial to trial, Discord to Discord. You got a free trial? I want a trial. You got a free trial? They train us like dogs to ask for these things. Or do you want to know tomorrow when the market's likely to go up or down? Do you want to know what the SPX or SPY is going to do for the next week, the next month? Most likely. All right. It's a rebirth. A lot of people describe it as a religious experience. Michael, I changed that day at that webinar. My eyes were opened. I peeled away the scabs. I could see for the first time what the rules really were. We are going against giants and juggernauts with slingshots and rubber balls. When you wake up tomorrow with your price action analysis and your support and resistance lines and that guy that you like to listen to, you are walking into a cage full of lions in a steak suit. Yeah, but I have a stick. Okay. I can't help some of you. You have assumptions that you believe 100% in. You live your life by them. You will die with them. They will find you with your CCI or your RSI clutched in your fingers, your guru's initials tattooed on your arm. I haven't found you fast enough, and I'm sorry. But some of you can change your assumptions, recognize what the golden rule really is, and acknowledge that the universe is not fair. Our customers do not trade the way most people trade. They do not yell at the screen when it doesn't go in their direction. They are not frustrated when the signals don't work. They do not feel like someone is coming after their stops. They are the ones who knock. Our customers are the ones who knock. If you know that reference, you watch too much TV like I do. Our customers wait for the banks to move. When they move, we move. When they stop, we stop. This is what your future could be. And here's the best part. We know when they move in the future. I would like to be a part of your team. We have a group of people here, lots of ways to connect, one of which was our Skype community. We have people in our Skype group right now, over 200 people that are in here, real traders that are actually trading with the software, using funded accounts, their own money. If you're a customer and you want to be a part of that, please email Rachel or me and we'll send you an invitation link to join. Real people sharing their setups. Bala is even in here. Bala is an amazing trader, totally on the ball with the tools. Lots of other people. Charlie's in here if you saw him yesterday, and great place to connect. There are multiple opportunities for training and mentorship. Charlie, of course, many of you have been taking advantage of his session times. Myself, my partner, another trader who trades 20 accounts with Apex, gives lessons to people here. Lots of opportunities to get plugged in. The product we're talking about is Warp. You got to start with Warp. If you got nothing, you need something. And that something is the product. That's that crazy guy you saw on the camera a second ago. This is the dead guy I told you about a minute before that. The link at the very bottom of this page, I'm going to post the hyperlink into your GoToWebinar chat box. It is the traditional pasting of the link. At the very bottom is a Buy Now button. Yashir, that's an invitation-only product at this point, and we don't have any plans to open it up in the near future. But you would need Warp before you could use that tool. It doesn't sound like you're ready to make a... Oh, of course it does. Yeah. 15 years, bro. I don't think you think this is real. I think you think the reviews are fake, and there's a better than average chance that I've been lying to you. You're not quite sure how I faked all of it. And even with the signals being published, if I showed you the web logs when the actual images were uploaded, there's a part of you that won't let you believe this is real, which is fine. Yeah, I know exactly where you are. There will be a moment, though. There'll be a trade tomorrow, Monday, where you'll be sitting there saying, those guys probably knew this was coming and are in the opposite side right now. You're going to feel really bad when the money you had to buy this is negative in your minder. You'll be looking at negative $2,000 saying, oh, that was my software purchase. You will self-destruct, standing inches from the thing that could save you, which is the human experience. We do the opposite of the thing that will help us. We eat a sleeve of cookies outside of the Weight Watchers building. We smoke a pack of cigarettes before we go upstairs for lung cancer removal. It's in our nature to destroy ourselves. But some of you are sick of that. I teach a room. It actually goes from 9 to 11. Let me be clear about that. I now teach the only trading room. Ron and Colin are actually working exclusively in our trading department where they trade our corporate funds for us. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, some of the best classes I've ever taught, the best responses and the best trades I've ever put in front of people. I show force charts and warp charts. If you want to be a part of that as a new customer, it comes with a discount. If you don't want it, go to the checkout without it. When you click on the X, You are agreeing to our purchase agreement. We will know. Our code keeps track of the fact that you clicked on the X and you click the box. Please don't call PayPal the day after and say you didn't get the software. You didn't know what the terms were. Everything will be provided to them, right? Every once in a while, we get a tire kicker who says, I'll use it for a month and see. Then they tell Visa they never got it. Don't do it. Visa doesn't like it when you file false claims. I'll tell you how we know. If you want it for even less money, WARPOFF, WARPOFF, WARPOFF. When you apply that code, it takes $500 off the price. I showed you $1,500 in 2 days of trading. I showed you 190 ticks, $1,900 in one CL day. If you can follow rules, how realistic is it that you'll recoup the cost of this shortly? It says a maybe billionaire. You get lifetime licenses, 2 licenses for NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader will connect to your Rhythmic data feed with companies like Apex. If you're using Apex, you've already got the data. If you're using like Take Profit, another funding company, you can get the data that way. It'll connect to your TD Ameritrade account, your Interactive Brokers account, your E-Trade account, or you can just use your NinjaTrader account if you've got one. And this does work with the free version of NinjaTrader. Video archives in the Training Resource Center when you log in, from very basic getting started videos all the way through advanced level stuff, etc., etc., etc. Wing! And part of a big community of people that are sharing their results with each other and helping one another every day with questions and answers and fast responses. I'm a part of that group too. So if you want to be a part of that, you absolutely can be. I want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for listening to me drone on and on about a thing that we've built. We're pretty proud of it. I believe people find us that are supposed to find us. I believe, and I use the term loosely, you have a divine appointment with us here today. I don't believe in random things anymore. I've watched this for almost 20 years now. And I believe the things that happen were always meant to happen when they were meant to happen. And so you're here to now. Don't turn your back on the opportunity that you've been given. You ask the universe a question, how do I do this differently? How do I do it better? Here's your answer. Don't be like that guy who gets to heaven after a flood, and he told the guy with the canoe and the helicopter and the powerboat to leave him alone because God was going to save him. He gets to the pearly gates and he sees God and he goes, what's the matter with you? He goes, I was waiting for you to save me. He goes, I sent you a canoe, a boat, and a helicopter. Today is your helicopter moment. Grab the rail. Get in. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine upon your handsome, beautiful faces. May the valleys rise up to meet you. May the mountains of adversity lay low before you on your journey today. I wish you peace, health, fellowship, prosperity, community, all the things that you desire for yourself. I believe with you today in those things. In agreement with you, we are for you. We are on your side. We are hiding nothing. Today, we only offer you the truth as we know it. I love you guys. Thank you for your support. Big news, big updates, big opportunities coming out this year. Lots of great reports from customers coming in. I'm proud of all of you. Keep it up every day, a little bit more, a learning, progress, discipline, and ultimately profit. Great job, everyone. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Ken, send over your money. Jeff, go tell your wife what you're doing so she doesn't come in the office all the time. Make sure you're not buying weird stuff. And anyone else who's interested, please let Dave or Charlie or myself know if you have any questions. We'll be happy to answer them truthfully, honestly. And if today wasn't a good fit for you, I do wish you the best on your journey and hope you find something that works for you. Take care, everyone. I love you. Have a great night. Bye-bye.